Hi everybody, I am back with another video. I pulled up this article on Charlemagne because they were saying Charlemagne, I guess they say Charlemagne didn't get, not Charlemagne, Joe Budden didn't get Charlemagne's memo when his contract with the Breakfast Club ended in December, and what his new move is. And as I read the article, I look for something specifically. Joe Budden said he owned his podcast. Charlemagne, I guess he under the impression that we owned his podcast called Black Network something. Let me put this back in and see. I spoke it in. Does Charlemagne own 60% of his new project?
According to Black Enterprise, Charlemagne de God and Baraki Sellers team up for new project. Charlemagne de God and Baraki Sellers talk about their new film, While I Breathe, I Hope, and what it means to be a young, black Democrat.
That's old. That's not what I was looking for. Charlemagne de God and that's Baraki Sellers. That's not what came up when I, because I basically forgot what I asked it to do. So the question is, does Charlemagne own 60% of iHeart?
I found this on the web.
So, because that's basically what they're saying, that he owns. When I read it, I was like, he owns 60% of iHeart. So that's what I looked up. And every time I click on iHeart.com, it goes to a blank page. So I looked up the article. I read the article on the source. Let me see if I see the source again. This way I read it is a whole another thing. The eyelash. Listen free. This is not what I'm looking for. Why are you not coming up like you're supposed to? Does Charlemagne de God own 60% of iHeart?
Here's what I found on the web.
Okay, now they're pulling up videos. Let's see what's in here. Listen to NBC Radio Sports in there. Charlemagne de God launched a black, it's called Black Effect Podcast. So apparently he's saying the Black Effect Podcast is his podcast, and he owns over 50% of it. So this isn't the article that I read the first time, but I can see down here they say missing 60%. This is from, let me see if I find the one from Source that I was reading. I don't guess it matters which one I know. I don't guess it matters which one I read. But iHeart didn't come the first time. Let me see iHeart come up this time. You have to see the article comes up. Okay, I'm not seeing the article. Let's go back. Not just black. This comes on iHeart. This comes under the rap. Jackson Progress. Well, let me check Variety magazine. Okay. It's not pulling up the article, so let's go under the venture. That's 2016. I need a September 9, 2020. September 9th. Charlemagne de God, iHeart. Got the rap. Listen to NBC Radio Sports. Let's see what it's saying this time. Your iHeart still not pulling up. Let's see if the rap come up. What the rap has to say. The rap not coming up. Let's see. You're not coming up. This is Venture. Okay, Venture comes up. The God of Radio. Okay. This is the Venture, but I don't think it has anything to say about Charlemagne. Okay, let me search again. Charlemagne God launch. This is okay. Okay, iHeart finally comes up. Okay. This is the one I read, but it's on the iHeart, who Charlemagne the God, whom I think still works for, versus what Joe Biden said. He owned his ownership. That's what I'm looking for in this article. It's ownership of this black network that Charlemagne is talking about. But anyway, Charlemagne the God, latest podcast foray will bring more recognition to black culture. So they giving Charlemagne the whole black culture that Joe Budden wanted and been trying to get for years, but they give it to Charlemagne. And so that is the beef between them. Then Charlemagne know what their beef is, and it goes deep. But anyway, on Wednesday, September 9th, the longtime radio presenter and the Breakfast Club host announced a partnership. So it's a partnership with iHeartRadio. He doesn't own it. Just like I'm in a partnership with this new company that's it's the future, which is virtual reality. I'm in a partnership in that company, but I don't own the company. I just own a piece of it. Now, the Black Effect Podcast Network, a passion project with an aim to encourage discourse on important topics in the black community and beyond. Spearheaded by Charlemagne, the Black Effect Podcast Network is scheduled. So the question is, do Charlemagne have full ownership of the Black Effect Podcast Network? Scheduled to premiere this fall with 18 podcasts on iHeart. So I still not understanding the 18 podcasts, but anyway, and it's projected to become the largest podcast publisher committed to black audiences. Well, back in the day, we was talking about the UPN and the black show. This should look like another thing right here. They're taking all these black podcasts and putting them on this one podcast with black owned by, which is really curated by Charlemagne the God. And then they're going to push them out like they did these black shows like Cosby. Someone did a breakdown on that. It was very good. The mission is clear: to amplify, elevate, and empower emerging and established talent. Same thing as the movies now. They're going from people playing in movies, having their own shows. Now they're moving to everybody with a podcast. And everybody with a podcast is going to be brought on to this black network, the Black Effect. Now, our goal is to shift the narrative from black creators signing transactional deals to instead forming legacy partnership that build generational wealth. Really? Bill Cosby built generational wealth, and they wiped him out in a minute. All that generational wealth those people had, they pulled those shows, stopped the residual income, therefore generational wealth went again. So we're not slow-minded here. Now, to form to have an equitable stake in their future. Those Bill Cosby shows had equitable stake in their future. Not all these shows are no more. Charlemagne said in a statement, as long as partner of iHeart, as long as a long-time partner of iHeart, you was a partner of iHeart, or was you talent on the Breakfast Club? But anyway, it's an honor to make history with them. Yeah, right. Blackness has an immediate culture shifting effect on everything. He added, Blackness controls the coup. Blackness is the culture. There's also a white culture, but black voices are not monolithic. The only way to the black voices, that come from a Donald Trump thing. But anyway, the only way to appreciate the diversity of thought and experiences in black culture is to build a platform for those voices to be heard. So black voices is going to be heard at this moment. 18 podcasts is going to be on this Black Effect podcast network that Charlemagne the God is curating, not ownership of, curating. And the 18 episode slate will feature several podcasts starring some of the most influential figures in black community. So they found a way to take all these black-owned podcasts and put them on the Black Effect podcast that Charlemagne is curating. And I promise you, these people going to have to pay to be on there. I'm going to see where, let's say like a podcast like, who has a podcast? A lot of, let's say podcasts like Tamron Hall. Now Tamron Hall going to be put on the Black Effect. She'll be one of the 18. She on a podcast, I guess. But she go on these, will she still on her podcast? Or will she be like Charlemagne was for the last 10 years? Talent on the Breakfast Club. And now the Breakfast Club is ending and they're giving him more they're giving him more into iHeart. Whereas the Japanese company called Spotify don't want to do that for Joe Budden. Joe Budden need to find another I guess a big network like iHeart if he want to do his business, but he basically want to have ownership of his own business. Charlemagne do not own the Black Effect podcast. He do not own it because I already looked it up in the article on the source that I really couldn't pull up on here. But anyway, figures, let's say now, they said the 18 podcast slate will feature several podcasts starring some of the most influential figures in black community, including social justice activist Tamika Mallory, actress comedian Jess Hilarious, I knew it, and attorney and TV host Albany K. Williams. They are taking these very successful black women who own their podcasts and they are getting into a contract agreement with iHeart through Charlemagne the God. That's what I see. Now, is there anything else to this article? That might be it for this article. But for the most part, let me see, the Black Effect Network lineup. So I guess those were going to be on there. But anyway, as we see, Charlemagne has gone into a contract deal. His contract deal is similar to P. Diddy. Similar to P. Diddy contract deal with I think it's Comcast. So it's basically the same thing. But according to the source, he is the curator of the show. And I look at the word curator, organizer, manager of the Black Effect. So that's what this is. Joe Budden owns his own podcast, and because he's trying to be full ownership of his, he's going to have struggles and issues. Charlemagne don't own the Black Effect. He is the organizer, manager, curator of the Black Effect. And that's because when the source used that word, curator, I looked the word up because that was not a word in my vocabulary, but it is now. And what did he say? Our goal is to shift the narrative from black creators signing transitional deals, which is basically what Joe Biden and which is basically what Joe Biden did, sign a transactional deal with Spotify, but instead form legacy partnership that will build generational wealth. As long as iHeart has majority, he says he has 60%, but there's nothing in here that says Charlemagne has 60% of anything. Now he may have 50%, but I was saying 60. So let me see about the 50%. Okay. Does Charlemagne own 50% of iHeart?
Here's what I found.
So, Variety Magazine. Now this is the latest, September 24th. The Breakfast Club. Okay. The Breakfast Club, CNN, BET, The Wrap, Yahoo, Jackson, Inside Radio. So the latest information on Charlemagne the God, September 15, about the Breakfast Club, iHeart. And this is the latest, the Breakfast Club. I don't see the date on that one. September 9th. I saw something here that says September 24th. Charlemagne faces judgment after heated exchange with Miley and whatever. September 15th. About the Breakfast Club, iHeart. The Locks pick their versus battle. Charlemagne the God, iHeart launch. Okay. It has been doing his own podcast. Yes. And it say it's missing 50%. Now this is CNN. Let me see if CNN got anything. Well, so CNN is not showing anything. So you see where it says that the 50% is crossed out. Charlemagne don't even own 50% of it. Because if he owned 50% of it, it will be in the wording, and it's not. And I heard him say that on I think on a show, when he keep on throwing these digs at Joe. But Joe literally owned his. Charlemagne don't own his Black Effect Network. He don't own it. He is the curator of it. And that's what I read, and that was under the source. This is BET. Let's see what BET has to say. They don't have nothing to say. Charlemagne the God launches Black Effect. This is, you see what Yahoo got to say. Yahoo is clear. Inside Radio. See what Inside has to say. Okay, Inside says, Inside, Our Heart presents interview with Ed Sheeran and Charlemagne the God. So, according to this, the interview launched the article YouTube channel, July 4th. Now, I ain't trying to hear all that. I'm basically just trying to get the information based on the fact that Charlemagne said it's how you, how you say the thing is how you, something other deals or whatever. Yeah. If you're gonna, be the face of black culture. Basically, Charlemagne is the face of black culture, which is why Joe Budden is upset. Which I could care less about Joe Budden, but that's what the beef is. Joe Budden come up with the idea, and they took the idea and made Charlemagne the face of black culture. He can be the face of all the black culture he want, but I am not being a part of that matrix. Well, black people is giving their podcast over to Charlemagne the God via iHeart anyway, or vice versa, whichever one is what. So this doesn't say much about it. So I'm gonna move on to the next one. Okay, more results. Okay, Joe Budden says Charlemagne should question his pay and value. Charlemagne became the god of hip-hop radio. Charlemagne is the god of Charlemagne. He ain't the god of nobody but Charlemagne. Can you believe that Charlemagne said with a half loving, half exasperated smile, he brings the taser in, even though whatever, who the hell cares? Anyway, I heart the National Alliance on Mental whatever. Charlemagne the God, I Heart Media launched the Black Effect. Okay, let's see what you got to say about this one. Okay. Eat your cookies all over in the way. Okay, Charlemagne the God is boosting the Black podcast. Let's read some more. It's boosting the Black. Charlemagne the God is boosting the Black podcast business, according to CNN. Now let me see if he owns 50% or anything in this Black podcast he talking about. Because Joe Biden point is he own 100%. Does Charlemagne own 100% of his podcast? That's what I'm looking for. And according to CNN, the outspoken radio personality, TV host, he a TV host, and podcaster has partnered with iHeart to launch the Black Effect. So he partnered with them to launch the Black Effect. So he is not owner of the Black Effect. The aim is to bring together the most influential voices. And so far, they mentioned 3 black women. So these women are influential. So what they're going to do is take these black women podcasts, and do to them what they did, what Spotify did to what you name, Joe Budden. That is what Charlemagne is doing. Move you out the way. There it goes. But this is on the Afro Tech, but I saw this on the source. Currently, the network flagship podcast will be The Breakfast Club. Currently, the network flagship post will be The Breakfast Club. Also, a curated slate of 18 podcasts, including series by comedian and actress Jess Hilarious, social justice activist Tamika Mallory. See, so they taking, that's what Black Lives Matter is all about. Taking all these Black Lives Matter people for justice and all of that, and bringing them under, giving them these contracted deals under the Black Effect, like Spotify did Joe Budden, and then devalue him and threw him away because they said, no, you don't get no, you just a workhorse, you don't get no vacation, nothing. During the 65 days a year is how you work. You don't like it, bye. That's what happened to Joe Budden. Now, they say, now watch what they say, watch the word now. According to CNN, the outspoken radio personality, TV host, and podcaster has partnered with iHeartMedia to launch the Black Effect Podcast Network. The aim is to bring together the most influential voices in black culture for stimulating conversation around social justice. I think people talk too much. Pop culture, sports, mental health, news, comedy, to have a conversation. We tired of talking. Currently, the network's flagship podcast will be the flagship is The Breakfast Club. And look at this word. Also a curated slate of 18 podcasts. And let's look at the word curated. Curated. A curator, according to Siri knowledge. A curator is a manager or overseer. Traditionally, a curator or keeper, with a word at, a curator or keeper of a cultural heritage. Institution is a content specialist charged with an institution's collections and involved with the interpretation of heritage material, including historical artifacts. So this is what Charlemagne is. He's a curator, specializing and charged with an institution's collection. The institution being iHeartRadio, iHeartMedia's collection, iHeartMedia's collection, and involved with the interpretation. Charlemagne gets to interpret what black culture is of heritage material. So they're taking a heritage material from black voices and interpreting what black culture is through the institution of iHeartMedia, curated, managed by Charlemagne the God. So, is that ownership? No, because the manager of Piggly Wiggly down the road, 5 minutes down the road, does not own Piggly Wiggly. This man that went to my high school, a little bit older than me, went to my high school, owns that Piggly Wiggly franchise. So, and his daddy owned it and left it to him, and now he done made it, he done put it on all these states and whatever. And now his grandson is trying to do the same thing on a whole nother level. Bottom line is, he owns that franchise. And I thought he owned it straight out, but it's another big old corporation that he owns the franchise through. So he owns this franchise, which is like this company that I'm with. It's a new company that's coming out, and I bought into the franchise of it. It's a new company. It's virtual reality. I'll be getting more into that as this company progress, as it's greatly doing. So I digress with all of that. Charlemagne is not the owner of the Black Effect. Charlemagne is the curator of the Black Effect, which is owned by iHeartRadio, who made him curator, manager, organizer of black culture. And he gets to interpret through iHeart, he gets to interpret what the culture is, which is all that is. So he didn't really prove Joe Budden wrong. He just made a deal with iHeart to be this. Joe Budden couldn't get that deal with Spotify, because Spotify is, I think Spotify is a Japanese company, if I remember right. Japanese ain't trying to do nothing with no Spotify. But like Charlemagne say, he need to figure out how to get where he is. To get. Now, Charlemagne might have come up with the podcast, the Black Effect. He might have come up with the podcast, the Black Effect. But do he own it? I think not, because he don't own it in a way that Joe Budden own it. But Joe Budden is in a position where you either gonna do it the way Charlemagne do it, or you gonna be under somebody. The fact that the fact that P. Diddy tell him, come home, this is a black one, he ain't nothing but, and for what I understand, he ain't nothing but another he ain't not Comcast over him, and he ain't getting treated fair by Comcast. But he gonna want Joe Budden to come under him. Anyway, this is crazy. Black people are gonna figure this stuff out. But anyway, that's about all I want to say about this, because I needed a full understanding of how Charlemagne said out of his mouth he owned over 50% of his own podcast. And I wonder how that was, and now I see. He just a manager. What's wrong with you? He just a curator. Just a curator of the Black Effect to pull in influential black voices. Influential black voices to interpret what black culture is through black heritage. So they are co-opting black talent, black voices again. A whole new matrix. But anyway, that's it for this video. Give the video a thumbs up if you like the content I just gave. Subscribe to the channel, because I'm still trying to hit that 1,000, and I will see you next time. Bye.